It is eerily quiet around here right now. The homes and businesses surrounding this lake, most have been evacuated and folks sent to nearby communities. Our hotel.
First off, I'd like to say that we are safe from the fire which raged near our home in the Shuswap area of BC. And I want to say a huge thank you to our family, friends, acquaintances, and subscribers from around the world for your concern, your well wishes, and offers of places to stay. You have no idea how much that means to us and how grateful we are to have such good people around us. In this video, I just want to try and give you an idea of what's been happening when that monster known as the Bush Creek Fire East, or the Adams Lake Fire, raced across the mountain, destroying the forest, the homes, and the businesses in its path. 2023 has been the worst wildfire year on record for British Columbia, and I can tell you that there have been some bad ones in the past. Just check out our 2021 videos. Currently, there are approximately 366 fires burning in the province, and 14 of those are fires of note, and I think that means that those are out of control. I'm recording this on Thursday, August the 24th, and it's hard to believe that it's only been a week ago that the fire caused the evacuation of the city of West Kelowna, and then it jumped the lake to Kelowna and Lake Country. We reached out to our friends, offering them a safe haven to our home. Little did we know that only a day later, our neighboring communities in the North and South Shuswap and more would be in exactly the same situation. Before I go any further, let's go to the beginning of the Adams Lake Fire. Now, I am not an expert in the area of fire or this specific incident. I'm only going to explain what I know. And should I have something incorrect, please explain it in the comments section. I'll also be posting photos and short videos that are not my own in this video. I will number those and credit the photographers in the description area. Many of these pictures have been shared over and over again on social media. So in case I don't have the right person credited, please let me know so that I can correct it. As you can see, Adams Lake is northwest of Shuswap Lake. A wildfire started in an isolated part along the east side of Adams Lake in mid-July. But the terrain was too rough for ground crews, and the fire was being held with air support according to the British Columbia Wildfire Service. On August 2nd, the wind shifted, turning the fire towards the homes in the area, placing approximately 100 lakeside properties on an evacuation order. Meanwhile, across the lake, residents of 13 properties near the Adams Lake West Forest Service Road were ordered to leave on August 6 due to the Bush Creek East wildfire. And the fires crept slowly south towards the North Shuswap. On Wednesday, August 16th, it was extremely smoky in the area, and I noticed it was worse when I was driving Highway 1 on the corridor going from Blind Bay to Salmon Arm. I found out later that parts of Lee Creek had been placed on evacuation alert that morning from the Adams Lake fire. Ash and debris had been falling around the South Shuswap and Salmon Arm all day. Forest Tower from the BC Wildlife Fire Information, and yes, that is the best name ever, said that more moderate winds and slightly cooler temperatures, thanks to the high amounts of smoke, would reduce the fire's behavior. Tower said the evacuation alert is precautionary and that the current forecast wasn't suggesting the fire would make its way all the way south to the community. But by 1:30 p.m., there was already an evacuation alert on the next community of Scotch Creek.
So in anticipation of that cold front arriving later this evening, we are looking at and preparing to do a large-scale aerial ignition The guard construction along the power lines that I'm highlighting here, and I'm sure people are familiar with, that guard construction is complete and comes right from the road all the way east and wraps up and around the corner. Those roads that is on the transmission line has been widened, as well as additional widening into the trees on the northern side of the power line. So our operations team is currently looking at that right now. We have about a window of a couple hours until 5 p.m.-ish when we'll have favorable winds coming from the south. With those winds coming from the south, any ignitions that would happen would be pushed towards the active burning wildfire. Aerial ignitions are used commonly in situations like this where there needs to be a large amount of fuel removed in a safe and controlled manner before an almost guaranteed wildfire comes down and affects that area in an out of control manner.
In the afternoon of Thursday, August 17th, 2,600 hectares were backburned along the power line. Environment Canada and the BC Wildfire Service indicated that a severe wind event was forecasted for the North Shuswap area and predicted for that afternoon and continuing overnight. Wind, combined with the hot, dry weather, increased the likelihood that the lower East Adams Lake wildfire could grow into the direction of Lee Creek, Scotch Creek, and the affected area in the Meadow Creek Road area of Celista. The day wasn't as smoky, and it even cleared up a bit in the late afternoon. In the early evening, we could see the smoke plume from the backburn, and the sky had strange layers of colors and stripes. Friday, August 18th, all hell broke loose. It was extremely windy, and the fire went around the fire break created by the BC Wildfire Service. Evacuation orders were given to residents in Lee Creek and Scotch Creek and parts of Celista. The orders and alerts were going off on our phone what seemed like all day, making me jump and getting me, and I'm sure many others, very anxious. Large burnt debris was falling in our yard from across the lake. Luckily, they were not hot embers. The sky was getting darker and darker, and by 1 p.m. it looked like late evening. The fire kept growing and expanding out. At around 6:30 p.m. it reached across from Celista to the edge of Magna Bay.
This is across of Celista. Just looking towards Englemont that way.
And this is the Adams Lake fire burning across at Celista. It's pretty well out of control. That is Shuswap Lake below. And it is really scary. The north shore of the Shuswap Lake has been pretty well evacuated. Lee Creek, Scotch Creek, Celista, and parts of Little Shuswap Lake.
Of Scotch Creek. That has a wooden bridge that has been closed. You can see the area there and what's going on there on your screen. That bridge links North Shuswap to the Trans-Canada Highway. So this means in that area, all road access is closed.
There are only two ways out of the North Shuswap. The wooden bridge at Scotch Creek, which was being watered down, leads to another bridge at Little River and to Highway 1. The other way out is to drive towards Seymour Arm and across a logging road to Malacca, approximately a 5-hour drive. Currently, both exits from the North Shuswap are closed due to wildfire, the Scotch Creek Lee Creek Fire Department said in a post on Facebook at 5:10 p.m. Anyone left in the area is to meet at the boat launch at the Shuswap Lake Provincial Park. For those that couldn't get through the evacuation areas to get up the road to Seymour Arm, they had to be rescued by boat and then bused to Kamloops to a reception center. And sadly, the evacuation continued. More communities at Adams Lake. Then the fire jumped the little river at Highway 1 by Squilax, roaring up the mountain, plus racing towards the town of Chase along the backside of the little Shuswap Lake. By 8 p.m., the town of Chase was put on evacuation alert. Squilax, the little Shuswap Band Reserve Number 1, and Turtle Valley evacuated. Highway 1 was closed between Sorrento and Chase. Luckily, the wind died down by the time the fire arrived at the edge of Magna Bay, and the fire traveled up the mountain instead of going further east into Magna Bay and over to Anglemont. Magna Bay went under evacuation order, but there was nothing for Anglemont, which was effectively cut off from getting supplies. Though we were still some distance from the fires across the lake, we packed our things and were ready to go in case burning embers caught by the wind should start a fire in our community, just as it did in West Kelowna, Kelowna, and Lake Country. 4 a.m. Saturday morning, August 19th, we were awoken by another alert that the nearby community of Sorrento was put on evacuation alert. Myself and many others couldn't get to sleep again after that. Sadly, by 2 p.m., that alert was upgraded to an order as well as a part of Skamikin. Alerts were issued to outlying Sorrento and Skamikin areas as well, one going across the highway east near Tappan. At this point, we assessed our risk of being trapped in our community should the fire get near enough and jump the highway at Tappan. Both sides of the highway would be closed. So we decided to self-evacuate and left the area an hour later. There was a long lineup of vehicles behind us as we drove up to the highway. Obviously, others decided to leave as well. We followed the news and social media carefully during our time away. It didn't seem that the fire progressed much from what we could tell between the 19th and the 24th. Unfortunately, there's been so much negativity, blame, and conspiracy theories between the residents who defied the orders and stayed behind to save homes, the British Columbia Wildfire Service, and the Columbia Shuswap Regional District. There seemed to be a total lack of communication, cooperation, collaboration, and support. Much needed supplies were stopped from being delivered to the North Shuswap and firefighting equipment stolen. To make matters worse, a Freedom Convoy tried to negotiate the opening of the highway at Sorrento, prompting the British Columbia Wildfire Service to temporarily pull out firefighting crews from the North Shuswap, citing safety concerns. But this is all a whole different story and perhaps to be covered in a future video. So on August the 22nd, it finally rained, and so far there have been no more evacuation alerts or orders, and the fires don't seem to have moved much. There were some spot fires started by lightning around the area, but they were thankfully either put out or contained. Now, hot weather is forecasted for the next few days, so that situation really could change, but I sure hope not. I'd like to thank all the firefighters, British Columbia Wildfire Service, Shuswap firefighters, and the locals who defied evacuation orders to save their neighbors' homes. All are risking lives keeping the fire at bay. There's a lot of dissension, blame, and anger at the moment, but in the end, everyone's working for a common goal, and that is to defeat this fire and save as many homes as they can. All the people who stepped up to help in regards to providing food for firefighters and evacuees and offering places to stay, people taking supplies by boat to the North Shuswap for firefighting efforts, and to supply those residents of Anglemont, they also deserve a huge thank you. I know emotions are extremely high right now, and I'm making this video to let people not from the area know what is happening here in regard to the fire. If you're a local viewer, please don't leave comments that are in anger, about blame, or about conspiracy theories. I will delete those comments as I just can't handle that right now. I may do another video about these other issues plaguing our area around the fires in the near future. Donations can be made to help evacuees by donating to the Red Cross or to United Way's BC Wildlife Recovery Fund. If you'd like to donate locally, the Salmon Arms Savings and Credit Union will match your donation, thereby doubling it. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up, leave us a comment, and please subscribe. You may also consider giving us a super thanks on YouTube or buying us a coffee.